Diplomat. Just wanted to step in here real quick. I know I normally don't come on until my regular time, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And if you're not following me on IG, Instagram, please do. Just type in Kingdom Citizen and you'll see the gold crown, Kingdom Citizen. I come on. Yeah, just go ahead and follow me there. So yeah, Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. I delve into the laws of the unseen and the seen, business, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to hop on here real quick, guys, because something was on my mind, on my heart, and obviously I put in the title as I'm sitting here and the sun is shining on me, trying to get some vitamin D, at least soak up a little bit of it, right? At least those chemtrails are not shining all in my face, or well, it looks like it's regular clouds right now, but anyway, they were early this morning, those chemtrails. So good thing I'm in the midst of doing a heavy metal detox. So listen up. So I put that title, I Got You, very simply put, and if you hear noise in the background, it's because just got traffic, neighborhood, and stuff like that. So, but I like doing these impromptu podcasts, or just kind of I like to say screenshots, that I like to give you guys something to think about. So putting that title in there, I got you, and I know what you're thinking. What I'm talking about is a lot of people are thinking like, man, this is just for people here. Well, no, this is for people who are under a democratic republic, which is much of the world system, right? And they can't figure out why there's so much violence, why people are so much angry. Why is the government model, in their country and their continents, and why are people fighting so much, and why is there a whole bunch of divorce and robbing and raping and pillaging and destruction of people, ethnicities, religions fighting with religions within religion, with their denominations fighting. And I don't have enough time to get into that. I'm not going to get into that right now. Just look at my library of podcasts that I talk a lot about that, because a lot of stuff is going on in the unseen, that manifests in the seen realm. But one of the reasons why I picked that title is very simply put, is that you have to understand, definitions. And obviously we weren't taught this, because, they want to keep us ignorant, simply put. So ignorance is definitely not bliss. Ignorance is definitely public enemy number one, right? And so what I was thinking about before I came on here was that I was thinking about, you got to know the difference between liberty and freedom, because they're not the same thing, okay? Liberty and freedom are not the same thing. So I'm on the East Coast, I'm here in North Carolina, and obviously I grew up under the democratic republic, capitalistic, Greek Roman society of thinking. And if you're not knowledgeable, right, and you don't understand the concepts of that, and what the basis is, what the tenet is, then you're going to be confused with a lot of things. And I'm not going to get in too deep down that rabbit hole, as they would say. But liberty is basically I'm just paraphrasing, is being free within the society of somebody being like an authoritative figure over you, right, over your family, okay? And it has the constraints of a rule of, it's constraints of the rule of law. So that's liberty. Man, I don't have anything to drink. Might be that pollen. But anyway, so the in regards to freedom, when you look up a free dominion, freedom, free dominion, free domain, right? Having control over your domain is essentially saying that you have the right to speak, act, think, you know, talk however you see fit, you know. Um, and that's the difference, okay? That's the difference. And so, I didn't know that. I wasn't taught that like you. And I'm sure your boss is not going to tell you tomorrow. I'm sure your professor, wherever you go to work, wherever your business is, if you're at home, whatever, they're not going to tell you. Most people don't even know the difference between those two, right? It's like the difference between traveling and driving, right? Hopefully some of you guys know that, but driving is a public, more of a public word, right? And traveling is actually private, right? Um, Driving is under a corporation, okay? And if you didn't know, the counties are incorporated, if you didn't know your state is incorporated, if no matter what continent you're from, you may want to check into that, because a corporation runs by statutes, rules, regulations, executive orders, corporate bylaws, right? And that means they believe you to be the employee. And if you look at the derivative of an employee, it's very simple. It means slave, okay? Corporate slave. We've heard of that before, right? There's a term out there, you can look it up, is called human capital. Well, again, human means monster, domestic pet. A lot of people don't know that. If you go down to its origin. See, this is the importance. So if somebody calls you a human, they're saying you're a domestic pet. They're calling themselves human. All humanity, domestic pets. So whoever controls media, flow of information, controls the masses of people, right? So you may feel that you have liberty, but you're not free, right? See, the prison is in the mind, and it took me years to try to figure that out. And so I quoted my last podcast. Mahatma Gandhi basically said that, and he got this from King Solomon, which is about 4 or 5 years ago, the wealthiest king that ever lived. Today's dollars, he'd be considered a trillionaire. But he said, as a man thinketh in his mind, so is he or she, basically. The information that we intake, the information that we have now, is how we measure everything in life in all areas. How we feel about ourselves, which is most important, our identity, is how we see the world. So that's basically my challenge to you is start. You have all these tools. You have the information at hand, right? You have the internet at hand. For the most part, there should be no reason why people are ignorant. Now, I'm not concerned about trying to find out everything about everybody else. Some people are so caught up in, somebody's life and this sport and that sport. And don't get me wrong, man. I like basketball, I like all these other things. But when I found out about basketball and football and where the origin of that came from, basketball didn't come from Naismith. I can tell you that right now. It came from the plantation, and everybody around the world. Shout out to all my bloodline here in North America, down there in the islands, Bahamas, Cuba, all that down there. I got some cousins down there. I got a whole bunch of cousins down in South America, obviously in Kebulan, which is modern day Africa. Shout out to y'all. And I also got a bloodline over there in Asia. So shout out to my peoples out there in Central Eastern Asia and everybody else. Oh, I can't forget Europe. Got a bloodline through there also too. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. So do that, because the more knowledgeable you are, see, knowledge means knowledge, to know, to keep you off the ledge, right? Because it's talking about light, okay, not light bulb on, light bulb off. I found out through my studies is that it's talking about having the revelation of what that actual word means, right? So when I'm articulating this to you, through words, you're seeing pictures, right? If I say blue trash can, well, some people may see Carolina blue, some people may see dark blue, navy blue, there's different variations. If I say a black trash can, right, they're going to see black, and that's on the right side of your mind, which controls the left side of your body, and vice versa, right? So, and that's all based on law. Anyway, so I just want to come in here real quick, guys, and drop that to you because it was just on my mind. And I said, I need to let my subscribers know. Please send this out to other people. You got to know the difference between freedom and liberty, right? So, different words mean different things. You want to get down to the origin of it. Take some time away from TV, because somebody else is telling you their vision of who they think you are. Because essentially that's what marketing is, advertising is. They're basically saying that you need to be like us. You need to get this product, get this service or whatever like that, because your life sucks and your kids suck and your marriage sucks and you're broke and you're busted and all this other stuff like this. And if you don't have these shoes, if you don't have this necklace, if you don't have this service, and if you don't have this dog, like one of the dogs with one of our clients, they have, I've seen a lot of people have a lot of these, what do you call those dogs? I forgot the name of them, but it's like a coach bag. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a coach bag, it's like a status thing, okay? And the reason why people like status, I gotta have this Mercedes over this Toyota or Honda. It's a power thing. They really don't want the car, but they want the feeling of the car, right? I got a Mercedes. Even sounds pretty good coming off your tongue, Mercedes or BMW, as opposed to Toyota or Honda. And I like all of them. You know what I'm saying? A Maybach or a Bentley is different than a Pinto or a Ford. You see what I'm saying? It's different levels. But what I figured out also too. this is a true story. So I got to get out of here after this. So there's this guy he's a billionaire, right? And I know this through another guy he's already passed on. He was the ambassador of one of the island countries, and the former ambassador who passed, he went to visit this guy's house, and now keep in mind the guys invited him over, and he's a billionaire. So the ambassador came to his house. This is the ambassador of an actual country. He came to his house. He's all dressed up to the nine and everything, and face shining, all greased up with coconut oil. He took a shower, man, got the cologne on. He got the 3-piece suit, and Lord, it probably was 80 degrees out there. So I know he was burning up. And had some funky armpits and feet. I'm sure he probably did, but anyway. So he knocks on the door, and I kid you not, this billionaire comes to the door, and the first thing the other guy does, the ambassador does, is he looks down. He's looking down. The dude has holes in his shoes. I kid you not. He's had this immaculate house, immaculate estate, right? He's a billionaire. He's the one that made the forks and the plastic forks and the spoons, okay? He's the one that actually discovered that. And he looks up, he's got to look, sized them up, shirt all out of his pants, some parts of his shirt in his pants, right? And I first heard this, I was like, he has like a ketchup stain all over his shirt, mustard, you know what I'm saying? And I think he was still chewing when he was like, oh man, come on in, Can you believe this? Now, take that depiction I just wrote on the right side of your mind and what the world has told you that rich people are supposed to look like. Now I know of another rich person or a wealthy person, he's passed on, Sam Walton. I actually met one of his former employees who back in the 90s who actually worked in the same store that he did, and he was already back in the 90s. If he wasn't a billionaire, he's probably worth at least 2-3 billion back then, maybe 10-20 billion back then. He was working in his 70s when he needed to help and show people how to do things right. So this is a true story. She told me, she said, Well, I told her that I found out that he rode around in his old 1950s, 60s truck because he liked it. He was just comfortable, and he didn't give a rip what anybody else said. That's real wealth, right? You're a billionaire, millionaire, thousandaire, whatever, and you're not trying to impress anybody. Underground wealth, so to speak. But anyway, so she said she was witnessed his son chew out one of the employees. Okay, and chewed out one of his employees. I mean, real nasty in front of everybody. I kid you not. That's what she told me. So she witnessed this, and he didn't know that Sam was coming up behind him. Sam Walton, the Walmart, was coming up behind him, and he came up between them. He was like, "What's going on here?" With the employee standing there, and then she was standing not too far away, and so his son explained and everything, and you just don't embarrass that. You just don't embarrass people like that, and that's the difference between a manager and a leader. A leader would take you to the side and talk to you one on one, right, or go to the office. But a manager will is always trying to get the one up on people and trying to impress people above them, trying to get more power by making other people feel bad. But anyway, so he chews him out. Sam Walton chews his son out, right? It was like, get out of here. I should have sent you, going back to school. So his son must have been like in his 20s or something, the 30s, somewhere around that area, going back to school or something like that. I should have did this with you. And so he, apologized to his employee or his team member. This is a billionaire now. And he said, listen, I'm sorry what happened here. How can I help you? How can I get this problem solved? Whatever, get the problem solved. And what he also did is he helped get down. This is what he was in his 70s, maybe his late 70s. He got down there and showed them how to lay out the store. Now that's the difference between a servant leader and a manager, right? And I told you that all of us are leaders trapped in their follower, right? You just got to find out what your gift is, or gifts, one at a time, and master those gifts one at a time, and then serve that to your community, right? See, I told you that if you seek value, as part of seeking value, that's what I've learned is I don't run after money, I run after value. And that's what I'm doing with these books that I get, and all the things that I'm doing behind the scenes, is because behind the scenes, under the ground, a seed is activated by the right moisture, the ground that it's in, the environment that it's in, the chlorophyll from the sun, all that stuff plays a part. The nutrients from the soil plays a part in growing that seed and, going down first. Obviously, that's just the law of a tree. It has to go down first and build its foundation. You see what I'm saying? So if you're looking for a quick fix, scroll on, do something else, because long-term success, see, all permanent change happens from within. I learned that from a very successful guy. He's passed on. I'll never forget when he said that. All permanent change happens from the inside out. And if you look at it, everything grows from the inside out. So your future, again, in closing, is not external, right? It's not ahead of you. You have to remember it's trapped on the inside of you. So yeah, you have a creator of your existence, but you're the master, like me, of your life, right? You get to determine which way you go, right? So as time is ticking away, we're on the clock, right? Tick tock, tick tock, right? And I can promise you this world is not going to keep going into the negative, okay? I can guarantee you that. I know some things I'm not going to divulge it right now, and I've seen some things, and I don't think I've ever explained this on, but I know some things that are coming, and I've actually seen it. Let's just say it's one of those things that you see and you hear and feel that you'll never forget. Okay, so I hope you guys are taking this thing seriously. I hope you understand the difference between liberty and freedom. I hope you go get your freedom by starting with this, and then also, increasing your self-image. Obviously, you increase that, you increase everything in your life. Everything else will follow the increase of value. Increase your value, increase increase money, increase your value, increase your relationships. It enriches every area of your life. Okay, so you guys have a great one. I will talk to you guys Tuesday at 7 p.m. You guys have a great night. Have a great rest of your weekend. And remember, again, your future is not external, it's not ahead of you, it's trapped on the inside of you. You got to put it in the right environment, or it will stay dormant and you'll die with your music still inside you.